You're an influencer building an engaged audience on your social media platform, so why do you need an email newsletter? Today I'm going to be sharing 5 eye-opening facts about email marketing and why, as an influencer, it's no longer just nice to have an email list. It's essential. If you're new here, I'm a full-time fashion and beauty micro-influencer based in New York City, and I use this channel to help you create great content, grow your digital brand, and earn sustainable income from content creation. If any of that interests you, please consider subscribing. You've probably heard as an influencer that email marketing is important, but if you're not 100% clear on why, I can completely understand why it wouldn't be at the top of your to-do list. With that, let's jump into the 5 big reasons you should have an email newsletter. Now, have you ever innocently opened your Instagram app expecting to check out some stories, see what's on your feed, and instead you come across this?
And this week, we have a number of announcements about how to improve Reels on Instagram.
Every time this happens to me, I instantly go from calm and collected to feeling stressed. Adam Mosseri, or Dark Lord Adam as he's sometimes referred to on this channel, can pop up at any time on your Instagram feed and change the rules of the game like that. This brings us to the first reason it's so important to have an email newsletter as an influencer, which is that you can speak directly to your audience whenever you want without an algorithm controlling who does and does not see your content. Algorithms can change at any moment, and a lot of us have experienced firsthand our reach dropping, or our engagement dropping, or our story views dropping, and it's not like we did anything differently, but it is that these algorithms will continue to evolve and change over time, and that is fully out of our control. With an email newsletter, you're in control and you're able to speak to your audience without an algorithm getting in the way and deciding, I'm not going to show this person this content today. Given the time and effort it takes to create a great piece of content, you want to make sure that as much of your audience as possible is actually seeing the content that you create. A few years ago, the average reach on Instagram was 20%, meaning every time you published content, you could expect to reach about 20% of your audience. And that's actually dropped in recent years, according to a blog post by Social Insider, to about 13%. Going through all of the effort of producing a great piece of content only to have a small percentage of your audience see it in the first place is pretty frustrating. But that's not a concern with email marketing. And speaking of comparing email marketing to social media, the second big reason you should have an email newsletter as a content creator is the return on your investment. Of course, it takes time to create great content, as we already know. But for the time you take creating that content, you will see a higher return on that investment of time with email marketing compared to social media. According to HubSpot, there are over 4 billion daily active email users. Not only that, but you can earn up to $36 for every $1 spent in email marketing, which is a huge return on your investment. And that could be from selling physical or digital products, but that could also be the time that you spend putting into creating a great lead magnet, creating content to attract people to that lead magnet, and then actually creating your email newsletter content as well. For all of those efforts, you will see a return. The third big reason to love email marketing is you can get pretty specific about which audience members you are talking to through things like segmentation and creating automations, or even name field customization. So someone opens an email and it will say, "Hi, Austen," or "Hi, whatever your name is." That, by the way, also helps keep emails out of spam. So definitely something to incorporate in your emails if you already are sending them out. I think this is especially important if you are a lifestyle content creator and you create content about a few different topics. Because, for example, on Instagram, I have hashtags to separate my 3 big content pillars, which are style, beauty, and content creation tips. However, just because I use those hashtags doesn't mean my audience knows to go follow those hashtags and check them to see if I've uploaded any new content. It kind of creates a little bit of extra work for them, if anything. With audience segmentation and getting specific about sending certain emails to certain people, you can talk even more directly to your subscribers, because maybe you can segment your audience based on who signed up from a certain landing page on your website. Maybe they wanted a freebie all about how to take great photos for Instagram, and you can use that information to send that segment of your audience really hyper-targeted emails so that if you release a preset pack as a content creator later on, those should be the first people you're reaching out to. And if the rest of the list is maybe more interested in fashion or beauty, then you don't have to worry about bothering them with an irrelevant email. You can get hyper specific about who you're talking to, and for that reason, you'll see a greater return on your investment as well. Remember, your email newsletter is going to comprise of your top most engaged followers who want to keep up with you on all platforms and who really want to hear from you directly week after week. So think about that as you're crafting content for your email newsletter. Remember your why as an influencer. And if you're a newer creator and you're not clear on your why yet, you can check out my free guide, The Influencer Launchpad, where I go into more detail about how to figure out which type of influencer you are, which can in turn help decide what content to create for your audience, basically on any platform, but I think you'll find it really helpful for email newsletters as well. So you can grab that free guide from the link in the description of this video. My fourth big reason for creating an email newsletter is that it's one of the easiest pieces of content to create and actually follow through with delivering consistently to your audience. And that's because of two things. Number one is the ability to create a template for your email newsletter. So I actually have a template for my weekly newsletter that is a free newsletter for content creators that goes out every Wednesday. And I'll show you guys a little scroll through what that template looks like for me, where I basically have the same header. I leave space to fill in what I want to write about that week. And at the bottom, I have links to all different things that my audience might be interested in, from my SEO workshop to booking a one-on-one consulting session with me or listening to our latest Clubhouse room. Having this template makes the content much easier to create because the only things I really need to add to it each week are my text that I want to include and links to any recent uploads on my blog or YouTube channel that may have recently been published. And the second reason it's easy to stay consistent with email marketing is because you can schedule content. You can schedule content for social media platforms through third-party platforms like Later. However, it's so easy when it's all built into any email service provider that lets you schedule out your email newsletters. So you can even write them in advance, schedule them a few weeks out, and just sit back and know that they will get delivered. So when I hear people say they don't have time to do an email newsletter, honestly, once you find a template that works for you and you figure out a schedule in terms of planning and sending out your emails, it's actually a very easy add-on to your content workload. And that brings us to the fifth reason why you should have an email newsletter as an influencer, and that is that you actually own your list. We don't own the content that we create and produce for social media platforms. Even if you have a huge audience on Instagram, you don't own that content that's there. I'm sure you've heard this expression before if you're a content creator, but it is basically like renting on borrowed land. Platforms like Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok are great for getting yourself introduced to a new audience because there are already people who are using and on these platforms every single day. But if you can get anyone from those platforms over to your email newsletter, it will serve you well in the long term because, again, then you can speak directly to those subscribers. You know that they are your loyal fans who are there no matter what. And not to mention, should anything happen to any of your social media platforms, whether it's something beyond your control, like a Dark Lord Adam algorithm update, or maybe you got a content strike on your account and suddenly your account you're not able to access it. Obviously, that's a really scary thing to think about as a content creator, so having an email newsletter is good insurance should anything happen to your social platforms. If you're convinced email marketing should be part of your creator business and you're ready to choose an email service provider, create a great lead magnet to attract subscribers, and figure out what your first few newsletters will look like content-wise, you can go ahead and watch this video next where I talk more about that. If you enjoyed this video and want more content creation tips, subscribe to my channel and don't forget to turn on the notifications so that you get notified every time that I upload. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.